Another edition of Ask Michael Ehline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. All right, everybody. I got Craig Hendry with me, as well as Let's OTVO and BZWatchdog. And I hear a bunch of noise. I'm going to put Let's OTVO on mute because for some reason he always has a lot of feedback. I'm trying to unmute everyone else's mic. Okay, so everybody, I'm not able to unmute BZWatchdog, but I was able to mute Let's OTVO. So
I muted mine on purpose.
Copy that. All right. So let me just
Email sent.
So I don't have a banner or anything like this. Everybody, I just want you to know I've got Craig Hendry here, and we noticed this show the other day. This is a live stream, and I want to give you a little bit of background. So we know that the National Institutes for Health, we know that the FBI just recently illegally got caught for spying on American citizens who support the Constitution, the Second Amendment, and legal immigration. So we know that, we know who runs the FBI, right? Like we get it, right? So we see that people who support the Constitution are now being looked at as crazy people and nut jobs by the administrative state. And we're seeing, since Chile got arrested, and prior to that, since the NIH and the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center put out their BS reports that basically people who support the Constitution are racists, I'm really happy to have Craig Hendry on, because out of all the guests I've had, I think he's definitely somebody who can declare that he's not racist. You know what I mean? So I want to have Craig come on and talk about his experiences. And I want everybody to know, first of all, everything that I have to say is being done for a non-commercial purpose. I'm not giving any of you legal advice, okay? If you don't hire me, I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm a lawyer licensed in Texas. I'm a lawyer licensed in California. And what I'm trying to do here is share things with you so that you can protect your family from the administrative state. We saw what they're doing to the Amish right now before your very eyes. They're trying to shut down their dairy farms. They're sending the blue-haired mafia with their little short haircuts, to try to shut them down. And we know that that's not what our founding fathers wanted. At least most of them didn't want that, at least based on their writings. I mean, who knows? Maybe they had an ulterior motive. Based on some of the images I'm seeing of Baphomet and George Washington, I'm having second thoughts. Put it in the comments if you think that all of our founding fathers were cultists and what do they call those guys? The Masons. If you think they're Masons, or if you think that they were all like born again Christians, because I love to hear your banters back and forth. Now, really quick, I want to introduce everybody to Craig Hendry. And I also want to tell Craig, look, I'm not your lawyer, brother. So be very careful about the things that you say that could potentially harm your case. And I'm assuming your lawyer already told you what you can say and what you can't say. But the bottom line is, I believe, based on the videotape from Craig, that it was a false arrest. And I'm just waiting for an email really quick from BZWatchdog while I blow up the screen, so I can get the video, but send it fresh, so I can get the video from him, so I can cue it up while Craig's talking. So I'm going to let you guys go from here. Go ahead, Craig. Tell us about your case. Tell us about your background. Tell us about how your life has been since the arrest and all that stuff. Here we go.
Okay, so we're here to talk about my latest case that I've accumulated. This is the Greene County, Indiana case. We've got two new cases. We have one case where I was charged with a Class A misdemeanor. That charge is obstruction, resisting, or interfering. That's the IC code. That carries up to a year in jail. And the second charge on that case is encroaching on a law enforcement investigation, I believe, basically coming within 25 feet of that investigation. The second case out of Greene County, which is new, the newest one, is a Class B misdemeanor. That charge is false informing, and that basically entails the accusation by the local police department here in Linton, Indiana, that they say that I lied about them in a city council meeting, which, if convicted of that, carries 180 days in jail. Now, a little background on me. I have been, in my estimation, wronged by the government for the short life that I have lived. I have had $50,000 stolen from me under civil asset forfeiture. We are still going through litigation for that, but of course, the money's still gone. I don't have it.
Right.
On top of that, I've had multiple criminal cases brought against me frivolously. Right now, we have 6 open cases. Every single one of them is still in ongoing litigation, and we are expecting 2 dismissals, although whether we get that or not is yet to be seen. With this particular case, I'm interested to see Mr. Ehline's take on it and talk about this case because it's very interesting. As most people know, Arizona tried to pass a 7-foot encroachment law of sorts, and their Supreme Court struck that down, saying that it was unconstitutional. Well, Indiana have conjured up their own law with regards to distance, saying that 25 feet is the acceptable distance to be at, but not just for journalists or for people recording. For every single human being that exists, if a police officer or emergency, basically a fireman, EMS, if they say you have to back up 25 feet from me, not to obey their command is now an arrestable offense, which can see you put in jail up to 30 days in the state of Indiana. And so that is the case. That's, I see Mr. Ehline's got the video up right now.
Yeah.
This is the video where I got the Class A misdemeanor charge and the Class C misdemeanor charge, which is the 25-foot encroachment law.
Okay, so I'm going to play the video, and because when I play these videos with StreamYard, as we found out yesterday, sometimes I don't hear the commands of people telling me, hey, slow the video, whatever. So I'm going to play the video, and what I want you to do is just show me a finger, and that means to stop. Copy that?
Gotcha.
Okay, well, here we go.
I'm going to take some liberty. There's not a lot of talking going on in this video.
Yeah, feel free to narrate. Narrate all you want.
So everybody understands, this is my friend Tyler recording this. I am off to the left. We had a GoPro that was fairly new, and it's my first time using a GoPro. And so that footage actually never happened. It's just gone. We don't have it. So this is why we're seeing Tyler's footage.
Don't worry about me.
Gotcha.
Wow, dude. You're a real prick. Stay 25 feet away from me. Is the stop still going? Is the stop still going? Are my lights still on? Nobody's in the car. You don't know who's in what. Nobody's in that car. Hey, did he just stop you? Did he stop anybody else? Yeah.
Let me look over here, see the birds. Give him one of these.
And my buddy exercising his First Amendment just there.
Crazy, man. He's like 65 feet back.
He's just letting the cop know he's number one.
Fucking pig.
So I got to butt in really quick, everybody. Like, I have to. Like, so you got to understand something. Like, I have a lot of friends who are cops, and like, I'm kind of sharing stuff with them, and they're Marines, of course, because otherwise they wouldn't probably be my friends. But they're like, dude, if somebody did that to me, I would just laugh. Like, I don't. They're just like, they don't get it. Like, really? Like, is this like such a problem that? Anyways, here we go. So. Obviously, the academy teaches you that you're some kind of like a
Snowflake,
a quasi deity. Here we go.
Thou shalt not disrespect them.
That law passed, bro. They run with it.
Yeah.
Even
though they have no duty to protect us at all.
Right.
And they support taking our firearms away from us, so we have no way to protect our families when they're 15 minutes away. Anyways, Keep watching,
OTBO's
guys.
trying to say something.
Can you hear me?
Well, we'll wait for OTVO. Stand by. I think his audio's out. Yeah,
We
I can
can
hear
hear
you,
you.
brother.
It's
I
okay.
can
you
hear
hear
you,
me?
Craig. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's surprising how much respect that they expect us to give them. But when it comes to the other way around, where we're just asking to be able to do what we're able to do, they would get a lot more respect if they'd just allow us to have our right and exercise them without trying to take them away.
I've just got a quick question. How many cases do we have where a journalist actually attacked an officer?
In the state of
wait.
Indiana, 0.
I think nationwide is 0.
Yeah. I can only speak for this state because I've looked it up. Now, I want to kind of
Wait, Craig, hold on. I heard from a bunch of college professors that you can't be a journalist unless you have a credential from junior college or something. Can you help us understand how that works?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. So I think the whole point of the freedom of the press, and this is from a layman's understanding, but the whole point of the freedom of the press is that the government doesn't get to dictate who is a legitimate press member or a member of the press or a journalist, because if they were allowed to dictate who is a legitimate member of the journalistic society, so to speak, they would only allow those that give them favorable stories. They would only allow stories that put them in a favorable light to be broadcast, or if anybody put any dissenting story out, it would be appropriate in that setting for the government to say, well, look, he's not a legitimate journalist. You shouldn't put any credence to what he has to say. And that can cause a lot of problems because, of course, nobody likes to be criticized. So if you give somebody the power to stop criticism, that's a very dangerous tool.
Well, hold on. I met this tenured college professor, and he said it's racist to say what you just said. So I'm really confused. So
Yeah.
it's just, right. It doesn't make any. It's racist to want to have free. I'm confused. Maybe you can. Maybe one of the guys in the panel could help me understand. I'm just a lawyer, so I have no clue what this is all about. Help me understand.
Right. Well, yeah. And in my understanding, I mean, sure, free speech can be racist, and racism can certainly be free speech as well. We don't have to like it. We just don't have to subscribe to those beliefs ourselves. That's my understanding of freedom. Now, yeah, some people disagree. Some people say that, if they think that somebody's speech is offensive or that somebody's speech should be quashed, the government agencies that exist should do so. But of course, that always leads down a very dangerous road. That's existed in America before. In the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln passed a executive order. Before he did this, he suspended due process. He suspended habeas corpus.
What? How could he do that? That's unconstitutional. I heard that he also filled all the Southern legislatures with unelected officials so they could pass the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, and
really? Oh, that's crazy.
It's craziness. And
isn't it racist to point out that an unconstitutional amendment was passed by unelected officials?
Well, I think it would be not racist to point out. It would be certainly beneficial for most people to know. I think that something that is interesting to point out in that particular instance is Abraham Lincoln was a champion of racism. I mean, he absolutely hated anybody that didn't look like him. But also the thing. Well,
hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I think that's racist to say that because MSNBC and CNN worship him like some kind of a god. So clearly,
yeah. Well, Honest Abe, let's keep him honest. All right, let's keep him honest, Abe, because I think too many people are lying about him. But the thing that's happened in America is that I really want to point out is that this is not foreign to us. This has been a part of our history for centuries. Is the amendment or the executive order that Abraham Lincoln signed was actually titled a executive order to arrest irresponsible journalists and newspaper editors. And it's insane. I mean, you would think that something like that would certainly, maybe somebody would even start a war over something like that. But, I digress.
Hold on. Why aren't you studying law under me? Because you are somebody that should be sitting on the bench. But I understand. You said I digress, so I'm going to go ahead and keep playing. Dictate.
They want to arrest me. They do. Yeah, they definitely do.
Michael, could you fast forward this to, I don't know if this is uncut. Let's go to 6 minutes around. I think that's kind of when we're going to see something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. 6:08.
All right. So I had recalled at this point that the cop told me I don't know who's in what vehicle. So me being a reasonable person, I thought, well, let's see who's in what vehicle.
Well,
So I went
hold on a minute. Reasonable according to who?
Well, according to me. So I went to go get my flashlight, and as you can see, I'm looking to see if there is somebody actually in his car. Because if there's nobody in his car, a reasonable person, I think, would deduce that there's no investigation going on anymore.
Right. That makes sense. I'm sure Officer Chauvin would agree with you.
Oh, wow.
I think there's somebody in the passenger seat.
There is, bro. I saw him.
You see him?
I
And
And
I'm
Mike,
sure
do me
you.
a favor.
don't know if they're the
Put those
suspect,
links
though,
from your email in the
or if
description.
another police officer.
Yeah,
Let me take a look, buddy.
couldn't tell.
And Craig, I'm sure you investigated yourself and you found no wrongdoing.
That investigation is still ongoing, and I will not be making any comments.
Well, I've already concluded my investigation. Investigation that cop was an idiot.
Just keep on narrating for us so we understand. I don't want to bore people. Yesterday had all these audio problems.
Yeah, so here I'm looking in the truck to ascertain whether somebody's in that truck. That's the vehicle that he has stopped. When I realize there's nobody in that truck, I then move on to the passenger side of the police vehicle to see if there's somebody in that car. After which I'm trying to ascertain whether that person is a fellow police officer or whether that's a potential suspect.
Copy that. And by the way, Craig, you don't really remind me of a testosterone-filled psychopath. I'm looking at you. I mean,
Well, I don't even think that's the claim about me. I just think people claim that I'm extremely annoying.
well, my wife tells me that every night, especially when I do these podcasts, and she's like, "What are you doing? We're not making it." I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, this is a labor of love, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
OTVO, check your email.
So let's stop it right there,
Stand by.
and let's
on.
rewind about 10 seconds.
Stand by.
This, in their probable cause affidavit, is where they say that I committed a Class A misdemeanor. This next 5 to 10 seconds is where they say I committed a Class A misdemeanor that could land me in jail for up to a year.
Roland. Do I need to back it up more?
I think we're good.
No, because you want to see where he backs up when the tow truck comes.
I'm just following instructions, man.
What's the safety issue? Shining a light in my eyes. And you take the light out of my eyes? No, you can leave the traffic stop.
You can leave the traffic stop. I'm an American freaking citizen, and you can leave. Okay.
I'm telling you, against the law for me to shine it in your eyes? I'm telling you, you're interfering with my traffic stop, and I'm going to forward it.
So really quick, I don't know if everybody can hear that, but he's saying, no, I'm telling you, you're interfering with my traffic stop. Hear that? You're interfering.
So let me ask you this. So the guy that we saw walking away from the truck when you first got there, was that the guy leaving the truck?
That's something that I still have. So from what I understand, the main suspect is in the car. That gentleman that was walking away was released after the police officer ascertained that he had done nothing wrong.
Okay, so the suspect at this point is in the back of the patrol car.
He's in the passenger seat, it looks like to me. That's what I
Wow.
observed. That's what
Is
I
that
observed
normal?
on scene.
Is
Was
that
that it
normal
looked like
policy?
it could be against their policy. I honestly do not know.
Okay, I'm going to keep rolling. You guys ready?
Yep.
And we'll see if he thinks it's against the law for you obstructing. What are you going to do if I shine the light in your view? I'm telling you to stop. What are you going to do?
The volume's a little low, so assuming that viewers can't hear it, basically there's an argument between Craig and the cop about who can shine the light in whose eyes. And of course, the cop feels like it's okay for him to blind Craig, but if Craig shines a light at the cop, that's interference. So put it in the comments if you think that shining a light to illuminate a arrest or whatever is
Now,
interference.
for the sake of just getting this video consumed as fast as possible, let's fast forward it to where we have about 2 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, somewhere like that.
Okay, I'm going to go about 10 minutes. Is that cool?
Let's go 11.
11. Okay, stand by. I'll do 10:57. You guys ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. By the way, we would have never known about the FBI whistleblowers testimony if they hadn't whistleblown, where the FBI has been targeting Christians, gun owners, and people who shop at Dick's Sporting Goods as potential domestic violent extremists. Imagine if they get everybody they want in power. You'll never know what the truth is. And they'll just say that everything you say is disinformation and you're a conspiracy theorist once they get all their people in place. And there are no more whistleblowers. So watch the video I posted today about the Rockefellers' takeover of our education system, the dumbing down of school children, and you'll have a better idea. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and narrate for us, brother.
Oh, yeah.
So what's
Sir
about to
Kryptonite.
happen is there is a tow truck en route to tow this truck that is in front of the police vehicle. When the tow truck gets near, that cop car is going to pull out. Can you actually take this pinned message here off the screen? This from Mr. Constitutional Rights?
Yeah. So hold on.
It's going to help us see. It's going to help us see things a bit better.
Stand by. Let me just stop the video really quick. So that's one question I had. How do I remove a video once it's there? I'm sorry, a comment.
You just click that same comment again.
So I have to find the comment on the actual thing. Okay.
Yes. So I want to point out to everyone while you're doing that the cop is parked about in the middle of the road. His left tires, his driver's side tires, are about in the middle of the street there.
Mike, click on someone else. There you go. You got it. Never
Got
mind.
it.
Go ahead.
I got it. I figured it out. Go ahead. Talk, brother.
This guy, this cop here, we can roll the video too. Me and Tyler aren't talking about anything important.
I think it's just some truck coming. Thought maybe it might have been another pig, but
So this car, you can see he's parked around the middle of the road. When he pulls back in, for some reason, he chooses to pull his car as close as possible to me and Tyler while staying on the road. This is something you'll observe.
fucking pig.
I don't know who Tyler is, but I love him.
So really quick, I just want to share something with you guys. I know you guys don't like cops, or a lot of people don't like cops, but when you do all that stuff, if you really think that's going to help you, it's not. So the judge probably was a prosecutor. So automatic, and the judge probably married a cop, because a lot of prosecutors marry cops. So you already have bias. That black robe doesn't mean anything. It's supposed to be neutral, but we all know that they're still humans. And if you have a woman, if any of you have ever had a mother, yeah, anyways. So
the same goes for a jury as well.
Absolutely. So your jury case, you're flipping people off, you're causing trouble. So there's two sides. There's the criminal and the civil. So even if you win your criminal case, you go and sue, right? Well, that jury, they'll be like, well, that guy's a jerk. Like, he flipped cops off. My uncle's a cop, right? Like, what do they call it? The 10 degrees of separation. There's some rule about it. I'm going to keep playing this video. I just want you guys to know, like, my opinion is it's a bad idea to flip cops off. It's a bad idea to do stuff like that. Because if you want justice, you have to understand that justice is also based upon subjective views of people and how they were raised. And we know that the public education system has brainwashed several generations of people into believing that the government can do no wrong. And we saw with the lockdowns recently that after they just deleted over 4,000 so-called scientific articles from the NIH and all these other websites about ivermectin, that we know that they can't be trusted either, because they're getting money from these companies that put things into your arm confidentially. And I'll get into that on another video. Ronald Reagan helped pass that law that keeps those companies that we can't talk about. By the way, you know who your slave master is by who you can't talk about. So all you people who call me a anti-VAX, you need to open up your brain. So let's go ahead and keep playing the video, and I'm going to let Craig narrate. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll say I wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Ehline that it certainly does not help you when you get into a courtroom criticizing the police. some of us take that into account, and some of us truly do not care. I am one of those individuals because I don't know. I just can't help myself but tell them exactly how I really feel. And that's what you are about to see me do. And, you know, but keep in mind, if you meet me in person and you aren't wearing a badge and a gun and shown a willingness to throw me in a cage, I'm an extremely pleasant person. It's just these certain circumstances that get me a little jumped up. So as you can see, though, he's parked onto the road, but he's parked a lot closer to us for whatever reason. He wants to move his investigation closer to me and Tyler.
There's really no safety issue. You're just being a little bitch tonight.
Wait. Hold on. Somebody said about a little bitch tonight. Is that?
Oh, yeah, that was me. I said, there's really no safety issue, is there? You're just being a little tonight.
Okay, so you got the guy pissed off. So now he's coming up with a pretextual reason to try and arrest you.
Well, that's what's happening. That's what's happening in the freeze frame right now. He is contemplating what he is going to do next.
And the craziest thing is he's not even in a marked vehicle.
It's true.
Right. That's true. That is true. Okay. You guys ready for me to keep rolling?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Aren't I 25 feet back? All right. Right there where you are now.
Oh, no.
Are you kidding me?
I'm going to start bringing my measuring tape.
You've got to be kidding me. I mean, the guy, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. I got to stop this. Guys, could you imagine our founding fathers having to face something like that? Look, they wouldn't. When King George tried to seize our powder houses, which is where our gunpowder, that's what started the Revolutionary War. So I want you guys to understand not what they teach you in the communist Marxist run school system, but the reality. Our founding fathers didn't want to pay for the king's endless wars. Sound familiar? Sound freaking familiar? They did not want to pay the taxes. That's why we had a revolution. The king tried to seize our powder houses because we didn't want to pay the tax. All right.
And by the way, the taxes were substantially lower then than they are now.
And they didn't have an income tax that taxed you for something that it was not even a corporate gain. But we'll talk about that in another video. I'm going to keep playing.
You were warned. Show me where we are. Show me where we have to be. You were warned.
What a joke.
Yeah, he moved that car about 5 feet, 6 feet over.
Absolute joke.
Craig,
so
you're going to
watch this,
start
though.
bringing a tape measure.
He claims that I've encroached on his investigation.
I guess so.
About 20 seconds has transpired since he brought the measuring tape out.
And watch.
This is it.
Craziest thing happens right here.
He's about to just get in his car and leave. He's like, well, I secured an arrest. I'm going to send some charging information to the prosecutor for Craig Hendry. My work tonight is done. Close the trunk. Get out of here.
For auditor safety, he's out.
Auditor safety. I love it.
Craig, you're going to have to start bringing a 25-foot tape measure with you, buddy.
I need one that's very strong so it doesn't.
Before I pulled away.
You know, if we go back to the George Floyd issue,
you more often. Maybe she wouldn't raise such a bitch. Roll a spy.
My gosh. All right. I just love seeing brave guys out there standing up for their wives and their children.
And see, you know what? If Tyler wasn't out there, he probably would have been dumb enough to try to actually put hands on and arrest Craig as well.
True.
Well, talk to me, guys. What are we going to do about this? What
numbers?
Craig, what do you think? Do you think that was a valid arrest?
No.
I think, well, the important thing is that he didn't see fit to arrest me. The misdemeanor occurred in the presence of an officer if a misdemeanor occurred, which I maintain it didn't. So if he thought the misdemeanor occurred in his presence, he had the discretion to arrest me right there. I mean, he obviously didn't think it was that severe.
But technically, didn't he create the misdemeanor?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the thing is I think that misdemeanor charge is just illegal, the Class C misdemeanor. Now, I maintain that really he moved closer to me in order to secure. And look, to be honest, I didn't bring my tape measure out, and I didn't see what his tape measure read. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that is just completely unclear with this case. So I really can't speculate on what he was thinking or what. I don't know. I will say this. After he said he was going to charge me, we left. We came back to that town the next day, and we asked the guy, "Hey, I'd like the affidavit that you wrote up because you said you were going to charge me." It wasn't until after that the charges seemed to have been filed, and then he decided, well, they're going to try to call my bluff. I'll really do it. And this prosecutor and me, he's got a history of just absolutely hating me. He's got a history of charging me with anything from possessing a plant to driving to court on a suspended license. And it's absolutely insane.
Well, hold on. Let me break this down for the audience. So you were not arrested at the scene, but later, based upon an affidavit, the prosecutor dragged you before the court. Is that what you're saying?
What happened is very interesting. I've got 6 open cases, and one of them is a felony case out of Vermilion County, Indiana. That is a stalking charge and is completely bogus. That's a different issue. But the issue is here is that I was out on bond on that felony case in Vermilion County. Now, they used a Class A misdemeanor charge to revoke that bond in Vermilion County, because if they were going to charge me with just the Class C, that wouldn't have been enough to revoke bond. You need a Class A misdemeanor or a felony. So they hit me with the Class A. I think that they know that they're never going to secure a conviction. And ultimately, the prosecution in the other county used that charge to revoke my bond. I sat in jail on that charge, on the stalking charge, because my bond was revoked due to that video you just saw for 13 days. I just got out of jail. It was 3 days ago now.
Wow.
I haven't been able to sleep since I've gotten out of jail, by the way.
Wait, hold on. I know you're suffering from PTSD, but so you were basically accused of violating a bond because you were at a scene filming a cop that got flipped off. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. And ultimately the cop is saying that the light that came from my flashlight interfered with him doing his official business. That's what the probable cause affidavit says. Now, something that's very interesting is we got that in front of a judge in Vermilion County, and we said, look, these charges are ridiculous. And the legal standard that the prosecution has to prove in order to get my bond revoked is what's called clear and convincing. And I am not a lawyer, so Mr. Ehline, I don't know if you have that terminology down there in California or out there in California, out there in Texas, but clear and convincing just means that, well, one, it's higher than probable cause, and you've got to establish in a clear and convincing manner that the defendant committed a crime while out on bond.
Stand by. Clear and convincing evidence in California is almost at the same standard as a criminal case, but it's sort of a wobbler. So in order to prove fraud or punitive damages, you'd have to provide clear and convincing evidence. I don't see any clear and convincing evidence that your intent was to impede or interfere with a stop. The problem is who signs the judge's paycheck. That's what people are telling me they're concerned with, is the government signs the judge's paycheck. The government signs the prosecutor's paycheck. And we know that judges, a lot of them get jobs at CNN and other quasi-governmental organizations. So
yes, anyway. And ultimately they're still backed by their party. I mean, they all go to their respective caucus meetings, and they're all influenced by these people. The people in their party inhabit the same offices as the prosecutor and the sheriff and police chief. These people are all cut from the same cloth. So yeah, they are going to back themselves up. Ultimately, the judge ruled that because a probable cause affidavit had been filed, and because that probable cause affidavit had been signed off on by a judge, that was clear and convincing evidence that I had committed a crime. Now, because of that ruling, he then set my bond at $25,000 surety, with a 10% cash allowed if we use the bondsman. I believe that's what the surety even means in the first place. And so we went that route, but ultimately I am still in custody as far as legality goes. I am still in custody. I'm just in the custody of my bondsman. Right?
Got it.
So I'm still not a free man, and my bondsman could revoke my bond at any time that he pleases. And ultimately, he seems like a decent guy. But
really quick, so okay, so I just want my viewer, because not everybody knows this stuff, but so typically when a court issues bail, they'll say $100,000 bail, 10,000 bond. It's usually 10%. That's how it is in California, anyways.
Yep.
So if you have $100,000 bond bail, your bond is going to be 10%, 10,000. Now, when you pay that bond, it's forfeit. It's gone. You'll never get it back. So just think about the prison industrial complex and how there are all these lobbyists that work for bail bondsmen and all in the prison system, especially private prisons. Even the dudes who are short timing and they want to make sure they get their pension, who have locked you up and destroyed your life, like the prison guards, they're lobbying Congress to make sure that they're going to definitely get their pensions. And guys like Craig and anybody who stands up for the Constitution, especially now, since we've redistricted everything with the census with the illegal aliens, they don't really care about what the natives have to say. The people who grew up here, the people who are actually voter citizens who served in the military, as long as they got the numbers, they don't give a crap about you because they want that money to get reelected. So go ahead, Craig. Keep talking.
And ultimately, I want to say, I mean, I'm out here for everybody. I mean, I love my American brothers and sisters, no matter where they are, what job they do. I take the position that one of my heroes took. He said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And that is a position that I take with regards to police. And ultimately, with regards to their pensions, I find it extremely saddening to think that these people are willing to sell out their brothers and sisters to get that pension, especially considering their pension will be worth nothing by the time they actually receive it.
Well, that makes sense. So go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing. I wanted to actually, while we're up here and we've got this thing going on, because it's my opinion that charge that stemmed from the video that we watched is heinous, bogus, and it's clearly maliciously been charged against me. There is another charge that I just picked up, and I think it would be interesting to look at the video that stemmed from. It's only a 7-minute video. It could give us a little bit of something to talk about. This charge is false informing. Now, false informing in most states, it usually pertains to when you're talking to a police officer, sometimes on a traffic stop, sometimes on a felony stop. It doesn't matter. But generally, it tends to entail giving a police officer wrong information with regards to your name, right? So that's usually what it's charged as. I was charged. This is the charge, by the way. I'm not saying this is what I did. The charge is that I lied at a city council meeting. And they are charging me with a crime that could see me, if convicted, could see me sit in a cage for 180 days. And this is an extremely troubling incident here. It's actually more troubling for me than that one that we just saw, because ultimately, as wrong as it is, we've seen that kind of stuff before. We've got a great friend, everybody here, we've got a great friend who's sitting in jail for something similar, for a charge of obstruction and whatnot. And so that's kind of what they do, and we know that. But this is something unique, this video that I've got up. Michael, if you look down below the screen, it's going to say add to studio. It's going to have me. And if you add that screen to studio, just like you had everybody else, and I'll show it to you. This is a video where they're actually charging me. They're charging me not for interfering or anything like that, but charging me for speaking. They're saying that I was lying, which is not true, by the way.
Really quick, Craig. So I see mute, stop cam, settings, stop screen, present, invite.
It's going to be where you see all of us. It's going to be where you see me down there, where you see BZ down there, and where you see yourself. It's in the studio. So if you see that, I'd appreciate it if you get it up.
Yeah. I'm trying to add you, but I don't see anything that allows me. There's no button that says add to studio. There's nothing there. I see an image of myself, BZWatchdog, you, and Craig, and then I see
and nothing below, huh?
Well, below it says mute, stop cam settings, stop screen, present.
Maybe, you know what? This is it. Maybe are you scrolling on it? Because sometimes I think you might have to scroll. This is something I've ran into with StreamYard.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll on these icons.
If it's not there, then I think it's not there. It would be an interesting thing to talk about.
Well, if you want to put it in the sidebar, the link, I'll open it up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll get it right in the sidebar right now.
Yeah.
And we'll send it in the private chat. This is something that I think that, I mean, I know that you can't give legal advice, and I wouldn't try to elicit legal advice from you because, like you say, I have not hired you. And that is, if somebody wants legal advice, they should hire you.
Right.
This is an interesting thing that maybe you could share your opinion with us on, because I'm not sure. Well, I am sure of one thing. I've never seen this charge applied to anybody in the state of Indiana. And upon doing research, I still can't find evidence that anybody has been charged in the history of this statute with this particular clause. I did put it in the private chat for you. I got it in there.
Yeah, I don't know what a okay, stand by. I see a little.
Hold on, I'll get it in the comments anyway.
No, we're good. We're good. I'm going to open it up right now.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Not like boring people. That is not.
No, yeah, absolutely not. And this, if anybody is bored in the chat, this will be well worth it. This is insanity. I mean, if you weren't convinced that the country is lost already, I don't know how to help you. This won't do any better. But it does go to show a little bit more that our country is going down the drain. And it's not the sink drain, it's a toilet drain. They have flushed it. As a matter of fact, while we're on that analogy, I'd like to share with everybody in the chat something called the political toilet bowl theory. And this is the theory that imagine, the political scene to be a toilet bowl, and the biggest pieces of crap always rise to the top, which is why we tend to see such heinous violations of our rights in America. So it looks like we've got it up.
Yeah, we got it up. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you.
Okay.
You just go ahead and narrate and put up your hand if you want me to stop anything. All right.
It's all good. We can this will be entertaining, I think.
All right.
I've prepared a bit of a statement here for you to keep me on topic. I represent a faction of people in the city of Linton that are oftentimes not heard, but are still real people nonetheless. They have families and loved ones. I'm here to speak about what's written on the side of our police cruisers here in town, that is to protect and serve. On July 26, 2022, in Linton, Indiana, armed thugs showed up at my home when I was not there. They kicked in the door and searched my house looking for me. Not having any luck when they couldn't locate me, they left.
Sir, what was your name? I didn't catch it.
My name is Craig.
Craig?
Yes.
Last name?
It's Hendry.
Could you,
It's Hendry.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
No problem. Shortly after I returned home around midnight that night, the aggressors returned as well. They banged loudly on my door and demanded that I allow them entry. They threatened to break into my home if I did not comply with their demands. When I opened the door, I was kidnapped by them and hauled to a concrete cage where they kept me against my will for a period of 45 days. Who are these disrespectful thugs that did this to me, my family, and our property, you may ask? It was none other than the Linton Police Department. They told me the reason that they did this, the reason that they were protecting and serving the absolute crap out of me on this particular occasion, was because I had sold cannabis, a plant that grows from the ground, to consenting adults almost a year earlier. Right? Obviously a good reason to break into somebody's home. Not. They told me that the Linton PD's actions demonstrate the extreme need to abolish this entire department. Right? When the local police are not wandering around aimlessly, spending taxpayer dollars on gas, creating wear and tear on the vehicles that we've paid for, and all the while collecting a generous salary at the expense of the taxpayers, when they are not doing this, it seems they are dead set on terrorizing those of the community that seem to be undesirable to them. Of course, we know that the Linton City Council won't abolish these useless and dangerous tax leeches because they seem to fall into that same category. But to the council members' benefit, they don't personally go out and extort the community through traffic tickets or terrorize them under the color of law. But to the council members' detriment, nobody has advocated that we rid ourselves of this poison that uses taxpayer money to harass taxpayers. In closing this, I will quote the great Thomas Jefferson. He said, quote, "Fellow citizens, a wise and frugal government which shall restrain men from injuring one another shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own affairs." Sorry, let me get this right. Their own pursuits of industry and improvement, and shall not take from the mouth of labor the bread it has earned. This is the sum of good government, unquote. We can see that in Jefferson's estimation,
Linton has become a bad government, as it is hard.
Well, hold on. I'll stop that because I think you wanted me to stop it right there, didn't you? Hold on. Let me just make sure you're off mute.
Craig, I think your mic's muted.
Yeah, your mic's muted, brother.
Yeah, we can stop it right there. Ultimately, they charged me after that with a Class B misdemeanor. And
now when you say they, so you're before the council. Obviously, the council gets donations from the police union and the NEA
Right.
and their critical race theory crew. So these people already don't like you because the people funding their campaigns are people that are diametrically opposed to freedom of speech, Second Amendment, that stuff, right?
yes, and ultimately, when I say they, I mean, well, if you could play, let me see, because this is the guy who charged me, the guy who wrote up the affidavit on me is actually in the room at the time that I'm speaking. And when I wrap it up, they actually say, "All right, thank you, Mr. Hendry. We've heard you. Now I'd like to give the floor to the police chief."
Of course.
And the police chief then goes on to talk. He's the one that charged me. He
Right,
wrote
okay.
up a 5-page affidavit saying that I lied about him. And then the prosecutor of the county charged me. These council members said, "We're going to bear back the blue no matter what they did to you." And they just dismissed my concern completely.
Right. So really quick, everybody, put it in the comments if you think it's fair that we even have any kind of public employee union, because after all, they have the most powerful union in the world. It's called the taxpayers and the government. So put it in the comments if you think it's fair that someone can form a union and then donate 90% of their money to one political party, but not the other with your tax dollars paying them. Put in the comments if you think that's fair. Put a bunch of ones if you think it's fair that the police, the prosecutors, the administrative state can do that and come after people like Craig who are clearly just going along with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Put in the comments for me. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you, Craig.
Hard to conceive how their actions of destroying my property, kidnapping me, and taking me from my family, and holding me in a concrete cage against my will was geared towards preventing me from injuring another.
to the contrary, this attack on me at the hands of the city of Linton was geared towards injuring me, my reputation, my family's sustenance, but most importantly, it was geared towards depriving me of my liberty, a crime that is unforgivable at best. But in days past, the penalties for taking a man's liberty have risen to the level of death. And I think that shouldn't be forgotten. So with that, the whole purpose of that is I ask that you would abolish this terrorist organization that is sponsored by the taxpayers.
So Craig, really quick. So I heard that about back in the past, people in government would have been tarred and feathered, right? That's how it was. They would have been tarred and feathered, strung up if they violated your rights. And that was even under the king. I mean, the Shire of the Reef had a pretty tough job because his job was to sort of protect the people from the king. And so I just wanted to, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
And ultimately it stems from there not so much as our rights as nowadays we're so rich as a society, we tend to forget that even a day in jail could spell death for your family. Right. So
absolutely.
So that's why it was taken so seriously back then, but it shouldn't be forgotten. Death to your family can still come from you being absent and put in jail. An armed robber could come to my home when I'm in jail. Hell, and armed robbers did come to my door when I was in jail. They just didn't steal anything. They didn't come when I was in jail, but they came when I wasn't home. They kicked in the door and then they left. And then apparently now the police chief is claiming they don't have any evidence of it. So
that's normal. That's normal. They don't like you. The administrative state has declared you an enemy the same way that Charles I declared the parliamentarians an enemy. I want you people to look at my other videos so you can start learning the history of common law, American common law, and English common law, because what Craig's doing is no different than what the Scots did, no different than what William Wallace did. He's standing up for his family and freedom, shining a light in a police officer's face. Yeah, it could be a problem, maybe, maybe not. But the issue is why is it that the police are so brazen and bold? It's because the politicians are giving them that power. And all you cops should be really concerned because of what happened to Eric Gardner. The guy gets strangled over a Lucy cigarette by some cops who are just trying to do what their bosses who signed their paychecks told them to, which is protect the small businesses in New York because they're threatening to close their shops and leave. We're going to lose that tax base to cover all the illegal aliens we're flooding the state with if we don't go along with what the shop owners want, because they fund all of our campaigns. So I want people to understand it because I've lobbied Congress. I know the real deal. Congressmen, politicians, all they care about is money. They want to get reelected because they get a guaranteed pension no matter what. When you go on Wikipedia and it says they're not allowed to do insider trading, that's BS. Whatever stock a congressman or senator invests in, go ahead and do the same thing. You'll be rich tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing the video for you, Craig.
Linton, Indiana. If there's any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Appreciate you coming before the council with your concerns. Their concerns have been heard. We have no intention of abolishing the Linton Police Department. We stand behind our law enforcement officers.
That what his boyfriend told him to do.
I would like to offer the floor to Paul Clark. If you have anything to say in rebuttal to the public comments, sir.
I would say that the public records in Mr. Hendry's case speak for themselves. No need for me to make a comment.
That we haven't received after requesting.
I was talking about the probable cause affidavits and warrants and all those things issued through the
Right,
courts.
but the video of you breaking into my home is still.
Wait, stand by. So is that the sheriff?
That's the police chief. That's the police chief,
Okay.
Paul Clark.
Sorry. So that's a municipal police officer. So let me educate people who don't really know what's going on here. So the municipal police have zero duty to protect individuals. Their job is to protect the government. That's it. And there are multiple cases, including the U.S. Supreme Court case, a U.S. Supreme Court case that will verify that generally the only time an officer has a duty to sort of look after your safety is if he assumes the duty to protect you and then flees. But other than that, cops have zero duty to protect you. Their job is just to make sure that they raise revenue and protect the government. So I'm going to go ahead and keep playing this. And any of you who disagree with me about that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you all the case law. That is a fact. So all you people who think that, oh, if we can just, make firearms illegal, imagine how all these criminals and cartel people that the government is helping by taking away your husband's ability to defend you against an assailant. So I'm going to go ahead and keep playing this for you guys.
And it's been withheld, right? You have not released this. Why?
This is not a place for the debate of this.
Right.
It's not a comment.
It's because he broke into my home and you guys allowed it to happen and you back it up. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Sir.
Tony, you have a comment?
Yeah, do we have a comment from the council? I guess not. What I'd like to say is the city council does not control the police department whatsoever. The police department itself has the chief and the answer to the mayor. And if there's a problem, I'm sure the police has a reason to do what they do. But then if there's a problem with...
Wait. Hold on a minute, guys. I want to invite some comments from Let's OTVO and some other people. So, if the police did it, it clearly must... Does that sound a lot like the proletariat under... Okay, so hold on a minute. So I'm a little bit older than most of my audience, but I grew up where there was a Soviet Union and we saw what Mao Zedong did to his own people. And we've seen that communism has killed way more people than the Nazis ever could have done. And so I just in that context, I was hoping that, hold on a minute, let me open you guys up. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So we have a city council member, clearly he's receiving money, right? He's getting paid by the state. So he doesn't want to lose his job. He's got a bunch of brainwashed voters, probably went to public school. So they think that the state is infallible, right? Because that's what Rockefeller wanted. If you watch the video I posted today, you'll learn about how the Rockefellers took over our education system because they didn't want any competition. They wanted to raise a bunch of drones. Prior to the Rockefellers, people raised their own kids in their communities. They were taught classical education. Most of our founding fathers spoke around 7 languages. Now, they don't even teach cursive, so you can't even read any of the founding documents. But with that being said, go ahead. Let's OTVO. BZ, talk to me. Tell me what you guys think.
Well, I think it's ridiculous that we're expected to follow the law. And if we are ignorant of the law, we're always told that ignorance of the law is no excuse. We'll pay that ticket, even though we didn't even know we were even in violation.
Unless you're a government employee, and then like your non-disclosure agreement doesn't matter anymore, or your son working for communist China and selling artwork that's worthless for millions of dollars to private investors, that's perfectly okay. But if you did that, you'd be in prison, right?
Right. And I don't know of any criminal out there that would be acting in a criminal capacity that would want to be surrounded by police officers. If you're truly out there exercising your First Amendment right, which is a constitutionally protected activity, that you're allowed to film police officers in the performance of their duty, and that there can be no law made that restricts that, why are we even here today? This is what buffaloes me.
Wow, that was prophetic. I mean, wow. What do you have to say, BZ? Anything?
You guys pretty much covered it all there.
All right. Let me go back to this.
I want to say something. So this meeting is almost over, but I want to say something with regards to what you said about these people receiving money.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think that the Constitution is clearly a facade. It was passed illegally. I'm sure that you know about that. It's an illegal document. Technically, I mean, we're still under the Articles of Confederation if we want to get down to what legally should be going on.
Well,
but in reality,
don't confuse legal with lawful. So
lawful. So
lawful,
what lawfully is going on. But what's really going on is that we're not following anything, right? You're not allowed to counterfeit money, right? But the government is. They wrote in their Constitution what legal tender was, and we've gone completely off of that. They never changed it. Gold and silver is still legal tender. Now we use counterfeited Federal Reserve notes that if you don't accept them, you can be held criminally liable or civilly liable. So it's a complete facade. But when it comes down to it, all that it is these people got their hands on some power because the city council members, they don't even get paid money. The only guy who's getting paid at that table is the clerk, who is, I believe, at the far end to the right when we're looking at it, and the mayor, who is the closest one to us on the left. These
right, but hold, let me stop you. You say they don't make Federal Reserve note money, but they certainly are able to buy influence and power. I mean, if there was
because if you don't accept it, they'll kill you.
Okay, but hold on. If there was a domestic violence claim, right, and the guys on the city council, the cops are going to come out, and I guarantee you, the 99% chance that guy's not getting arrested.
Well, yeah,
I'm just telling you the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean that actually occurred in this city here. One of the
all the time.
All
the government employees get a pass, and we get effed. That's the problem.
And it all stems to self-preservation, right? They want to keep what's theirs. They want to keep what they have, and
they want to keep what we have they want to keep what we have for themselves.
Right. And the only way to do that is to, one, to convince us that we need them, and two, to convince us that they're extremely upstanding citizens and that they would never do anything wrong. Right. So I think if everybody didn't believe those two things, nobody would send them money. But, they somehow managed to convince us through their control of the mainstream media and through their control of newspapers. It's insane. There was actually a hit job written about me by a newspaper journalist who was in attendance at this city council meeting, who's just backing the Blue Barebacks, saying stuff like, this guy should be charged with this crime and he should be jailed. And all I did was talk. So I think an interesting perspective that I do accept is that the police chief sees this as an attack on his livelihood. Whereas I see the charges that he's brought against me as an attack on my life and my liberty. He sees what I said in that city council meeting when I said, I'd like for you to abolish the police department. He sees that as I'm an evil guy who is just out there to attack him and his money supply, right? So he thinks that I want to see him and his family starving and all this. I don't want to see that. I just don't want to see him and his family eating after they've extorted everybody else for their money. That's what I don't like.
That makes perfectly good sense. And it brings me back to the principle of the sheriff, the shire of the reef. And I really encourage people to reach out to me through BZWatchdog. I'm actually writing a couple of books. One is How to Become a Lawyer with No Law School, which is the way we always did it until academia and the government wanted to control the narrative and control your thoughts under Rockefeller. And well, prior to that a little bit, but ultimately with public education, we have a sort of a uniparty system that wants to keep you as dumb as possible. So I encourage you to do that. But what we see here is we have a police industrial complex. We have an academic industrial complex. We have a military industrial complex. And what happens is they'll eventually unionize, and they'll use these unions to donate money to the politicians. And in turn, the politicians will grant them favors. But ultimately, it's the taxpayers who suffer. And that's why so many of my veteran friends are fleeing California or moving to third world countries, because actually it's more free in other countries now than in this country, according to many. So,
right.
Craig,
and also another thing about that is like that's on my agenda as well. I plan to leave this country as soon as all these cases are over. This country has become far too dangerous to live in. I mean, we kowtow to every other country about how great we are, how free we are, and how rich we are, when in reality, almost every other country in the world has more of everything that I just mentioned than we do. For example, China. A lot of people say that Chinese people are working for slave wages, and there are people in China who are enslaved by their government. The Chinese government are no angels themselves. But the reality of the situation is, the statistics is that 90% of new vehicles bought in China in the year 2020, I believe it was, were bought with outright cash, while as 90% of the vehicles bought in America in the year 2020 were bought with outright credit. So they actually have far more wealth than we do. Most of them have far more liberty than we do. And most of them just, don't see the government as often as we do. This place has become far too dangerous. When you get charged with a crime that could see you kidnapped for speaking your truth at a city council meeting, then you will know the fear that I feel. This is absolutely terrible. Now, this fear is not going to bring me to my knees. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they can threaten me as much as they want. I'll make them carry it out. I mean, it's no problem to me to do that. Ultimately, I'm either living in fear out here or I'm living in fear in their custody. But what you're saying is that reasonable people, in my estimation, are fleeing the state, fleeing the country. Yeah. And I think that it's completely acceptable and totally, I would even advocate that people do it. If you love your families, if you don't want to see your son, your daughter locked in a steel cage, perhaps you should consider moving somewhere where they don't do that kind of stuff for people that aren't, creating victims, which is
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we know that based upon the illegal spying operation that 2 FBI whistleblowers just uncovered on March 4th, at least that was the official congressional report, that they're specifically targeting people who support the Constitution, who support the Bill of Rights, while they're using non-governmental organizations that are funded by your money to flood our country with illegal aliens. We know that more than half of California's electors, the only reason they have them is because of the U.S. Census counting illegal aliens. We know that California turned blue because of illegal aliens. We know that communist China was bringing in suitcases full of cash to support the Clintons. And we know that communist China supports the Marxist left and the academic institutions. They love it that people like you and I want to flee the country. They don't want people like us in the country. They want people from third world countries who can barely spell up here. They want people who are dependent on government welfare for everything from cradle to grave. The people that are coming up here aren't coming up here for work. They're coming up here because they were invited here by non-governmental organizations who work for the current administration via your tax dollars. That's the reality. And we can talk about this another time, but that's the reality. So Craig, everything you're saying is true. By the way, I was just down in El Salvador and I saw these Antifa guys, like the hammer and sickles on their backpack, going around giving out iPhones to people, getting signatures and giving them information on how to skirt our immigration laws, how to work with the cartels to smuggle across the border and get into a U.S. city. And then what do we see? Greg Abbott immediately sending them to a Democrat state. Well, everybody thinks, oh, great, he's doing such a great job. A WEF guy, Greg Abbott, World Economic Forum guy, just like Gavin Newsom, right? Just like the guy up in Canada, the commie up in Canada. These guys pretend like they support us, but he's literally sending people into New York and other Democrat states. Same with the guy in Florida, the other guy, the governor of Florida.
DeSantis.
Yeah. They're all the same. It's a uniparty system. They just pretend like they both, because they want to create that divide. So we don't focus on what's really going on, right? Yeah, you know what's going on.
And they want all that. You're right. They want all that all the way until it gets real. I mean, when reality hits you in the face, when you've got a whole country full of people that can't communicate, it's very difficult to have economic prosperity. This is something that I think a lot of people have skirted over because it's never been an issue in their lifetime, is that the economic system in America is clearly unsustainable. This is something that we all know. 33 trillion in debt is a pretty good indication. The alarm bell should be ringing, right? When you're 33, I mean, hell, if I'm $1,000 in debt, that would be a massive deal. But 33 trillion is insane, right?
When you have our present public education system, they're more concerned about trying to transition your children and sterilize them than they are about teaching things like civility and economics. Can we?
Yeah, and they will be more concerned with that stuff all the way up until their stomach starts growling at them, and that's going to be the thing that really changes everybody's mind. Because ultimately, here in America, well, anywhere in the world, reality works like this: you can only consume what you can produce. So, if you can't produce it, you can't consume it. So here in America, we've lost almost, I think it's the last statistics I saw was something like since 1950, we've lost something over 70% of our industrial base. We've moved to a service sector economy.
That's right. Absolutely.
And we've started importing a lot of people who don't want to work, who want to get on the dole. Well, the horse can only pull the carriage, for so long until it gets tired. And when you keep taking, say you start with 10 horses drawing, carrying the carriage. When you keep taking a horse and snipping its line and throwing it in the carriage, it gets excessively hard for the horses pulling it to continue pulling it. So eventually we're going to stop. We're all just going to have to meet reality. China's going to stop shipping us goods when they see it politically expedient. Everywhere else is going to stop shipping us goods. And we're going to be broke. We're going to experience a depression, the likes of which is going to make the Great Depression look like child's play, right? Because at least back in the Great Depression, we had an industrial base. Now we don't have anything, right?
We're already broke. And we see that communist China basically controls one of our political parties and all of our academic institutions. We saw that when the KGB pulled out, that the communist Chinese filled the power vacuum that infiltrated our public schools. We've seen multiple arrests of professors being paid off by the communist Chinese. We know that many college professors actually are leaders of Antifa. We know that Biden and the FBI made sure to keep Antifa off the list of potential domestic extremists, but they made sure to mention sovereign citizens because the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center wanted to make sure that got put on there because that's how they make their money, by keeping the myth of white racism alive, which is absolutely absurd. I mean, any white guy I run into, they're just terrified of even being considered a racist. They're just, oh my God, don't call me a racist. I might lose my job. Ah.
Yeah.
We know that's all BS. We know it's nonsense.
Most people are extremely fearful of being labeled a racist or any kind of misogynist, any of this stuff. There's a massive fear, especially among the European white population. Now, but what I'll say with regards
is they're being replaced by terrorists that their own government is importing, and they can't even complain about it, or they'll go to jail. Oh, you raped my wife. Oh, wait, he's from the Middle East. That's a crime. You're going to jail. Keep talking.
Yeah,
buddy.
There's an extremely great song out there. It was supposed to be a parody, but I think it's like Alex Jones' rant turned into folk song. It is so funny. But the guy, he says exactly what you say. I'm not going to quote it, but it's truth. But with regards to that stuff, I do believe that that is a psyop that a lot of people have gotten carried away in. People have made it their literal life's work. Like you say, some professors have gotten paid a lot of money from espousing this myth. But in reality, it's the ancient strategy of governments. I think it's in Sun Tzu's The Art of War. It's
That's
divide
right.
and conquer. As long as they can divide us, as long as they can keep anybody pointing the finger at anybody else but them, they're safe. And so that's what they want. And ultimately, it's sickening, it's despicable, but there's not very much we can do about it as individuals. My theory is that we're going to have to wait until this government falls economically, where they can't pay their agents to do their acts of terror anymore. And when they do that, people are going to be asking the question, what will we implement next? What is going to be the next form of government? And it's going to be like you.
Hold on. Something you said really resonated with me, that you want to leave the country. Now let's just really quick. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but my brain's not 100%. So if I don't cut you off, I won't remember what I was going to say. So here's the deal. We know that President Bukele down in El Salvador went ahead and locked up all of those scumbags down there that were gang members. But a lot of people don't know the real story. Our own government helped create those Salvadorian gangs by sending the CIA down there to mess with my wife's home country. I know the real history of what's going on. If you guys want to talk about me in private about it, we can get into it. But El Salvador, those people down there are the kindest, most humblest, amazing people you'll ever meet. They're just absolutely off the chain, good people. This new president, I think he's actually Muslim, by the way, went ahead and locked all those MFers up. And those people were created by the United States. And now El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the world. And so that's probably where I'm going to go with my family, because I want my wife and kids to grow up where men and women, real men, biological men and women, get married, they reproduce. And if they have a fetish or they have some emotional problem, the government doesn't prop it up in the public school systems and try to promote those people as potential leaders or appoint them as a Surgeon General of the United States. Where I grew up, people like that would get the necessary medical care that they need because we care about those people. Go ahead, Craig, and just keep talking, brother. I really love everything that you have to say, man.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that you want to go down south to El Salvador.
Central America.
I am looking at Argentina. Their new president, Javier Milei, tends to hold a lot of the same views. He is not a by profession economist, I don't believe, although he is more well versed than 90% of American economists today in how the economy actually works. Most American economists think that you have to spend money in order to produce goods, which is true. But I wonder how people produced goods initially without money. Usually you have to produce the goods and then the money starts flowing afterwards. It's insane how many economists don't grasp that. But down in Argentina, they're talking about, they already have. They've slashed 50% of government spending because they went broke. They were one of the wealthiest countries in the world in their prime. And they are headed at least in the right direction. And, obviously there's always going to be some psychopaths who have searched for power and found it in any geographical area that you find yourself in. You are going to have to deal with that, because if you're like me and you're not willing to use any necessary violence all the way up to a fault in order to defend your freedom, then you are going to have to deal with that kind of stuff. It's an inconvenience, but an inconvenience that at the present, it doesn't look like we're escaping from.
We're not. So the medical industrial complex is the primary driver. So since we got government funded healthcare, Obamacare, you have all these doctors that can't make any money anymore. So now they have to partner up with the state. We already see the medical schools with their oaths and everything supporting this nonsense agenda that's not based on science, but it's based on this new religion that men can be women and women can be men. And so you have these plastic surgeons who pretty much almost went bankrupt. Now they're giving a ton of money to political parties. Here. Just make sure that, I can do these genital mutilation surgeries on minors, because if not, I'm not going to be able to keep donating money to you. So I just want all you people to understand how the world works. These politicians stay in power with money from doctors, nurses, unions, And a lot of these people don't give a rat's ass about you or your family. They'll inject you with stuff that'll kill you. They don't care as long as they get paid. You'll notice that the guys, the WEF guys, from what I've heard, and put it in the comments if I'm wrong, but they'll only hire unvaccinated. I'm sorry. I hope I don't get in trouble for that. Un-VAX pilots, because of the THROMBOSI S and the MYOCARDIT right?
Yeah.
Because those guys, because they'll die, because we know it kills people. So keep going. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, that's something I think that's going to be a common theme here in the future, is that they're only going to hire certain people who have shown through their actions in the past that they are verifiably compliant with whatever the government tells them to do.
Hold on. Let me roll this back. They will not hire pilots that took that thing.
Oh, they won't hire them.
They refuse to, because they're dying of strokes in record numbers.
Right.
The U.S. Navy also released their information, and you'll see that CNN, MSNBC, government-run media, they won't report it. They won't talk about it, and they've never retracted the fact that I believe over 4,000 articles were just deleted from the NIH website about ivermectin, all just deleted, removed, gone, because it was all misinformation. It was a lie, because the law was that if there was a reasonable way to control this particular virus, other than coming up with an experimental drug, they would have to use that first. And now we all know that the IVERMECTIN actually, for me and my family, they give it all over third world countries. In El Salvador, you can pick them up for like 5 cents a pill. I've been able to knock out, I've had it twice now. I knocked it out in 3 days, both times, using that with some zinc and vitamin D. It's no different than the flu. And we know that the FDA and the CDC just reclassified it as the same as the flu, which we already knew. Anybody with a brain already knew this was a scam, but it destroyed my law firm and my business by the government shutting down the economy. And I'm praying that people like you will help me educate other people who have been brainwashed by this grand Leviathan. I'm really glad that you came on today, Craig. And I know that we're going to start losing audience, but I want you to go ahead and help me close this out, because I know you have your own channel. I know you how to run these things. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I just want you, BZWatchdog, and Less OTVO, to help me close it out.
Yeah, well, first I want to say thank you for having me on, Michael. It's been a great experience to come on here and talk. I'm very impressed by you. I'm going to have to check out that video that you're talking about, because I am just as ignorant as many people are in such matters. So I'd be glad to educate myself through your video. I will say that I know that we've talked a lot about the U.S. as a whole, and it is a scary place. I think that to not recognize that would be potentially suicidal. So in closing, I will say that I'm going to give myself a little bit of a plug. The videos that we did see, that we did watch, I do have a GoFundMe going to raise legal fees. I have a lawyer that I talk to that I trust. We just need to secure her payment. That payment is going to be a total of $5,000. The GoFundMe is at $400 because we've raised approximately $1,000 through other channels. So if you are a liberty lover, if you are willing to help contribute to my defense fund, that GoFundMe is, I believe, in the either description or it's somewhere in the live chat. Somebody can put it in there, I'm sure.
Yeah, put it in there. Put it in the sidebar, and I'll make sure it goes in the description.
There you go. Let's OTVO got it. Thank you very much. So
we've seen it go up about $200 since we started the live chat.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Right.
I appreciate that, BZ. Thank you, brother.
Well, and thank you everybody who donated, and thank you guys for plugging that in for me. That is very helpful. And guys, like I say, I mean, I'm kind of at a loss for words as to what more we can say. I'm sure that it sounds like me and Mr. Ehline could go on and on and on talking about the horrors that the American government do. I mean, he's talking about genital mutilation. I know about they kill babies post conception. In
ridiculous.
Some states.
Baphomet worship. This is the Luciferian order that my parents warned me about, and I thought that they were crazy. But everything's happening. All these conspiracy theories are all happening, but they still call us conspiracy theorists.
It's like the T-shirt. All my conspiracy theories have come true.
Yeah,
a new one.
Yes, it is. These people are the devil reincarnate. It is crazy. I mean, and the thing is just like they say in Star Wars, where the Jedis are always like, well, we can't stoop to their level. We have this code to follow. We have a code to follow. We cannot use violence against these people. We cannot. The only reason we use violence is to defend ourselves. We cannot coerce people into giving us money to fight these people. We can't coerce people's labor to fight people. We have to fight by a different set of rules than them because we are morally superior.
Yes.
They know that. They know that we're morally superior. They know that the movement grows every single day, and they hate us for it. They hate us so much, they want to kill us. They will do anything to silence our voices. They want to take your children. They want to brainwash them in their public schools. They want to turn them against you. They want to cut off their genitals. They're crazy individuals. This is the most important subject. I think the U.S. government is the most heinous organization in the world. And the CIA they are the working arm of that government. They are going to do all the dirty work that the U.S. government tells them to do and more. So everybody, thank you for hearing me. Thank you, Michael, for having me on. And thanks, BZ, for setting this up. This has been really great. I really appreciate you doing this, brother. Without BZ,
well, before you go,
for joining
Craig,
as well. Without
Craig,
BZ, this wouldn't have happened.
Craig, before you go, and I still don't know, we've mentioned it, but you missed your gender reveal party. I still don't know what the gender is.
The gender is, are you ready? A girl. I'm having a little girl. She's due on July 29th, 2024. Thank you, everybody. I'm just excited. I'm elated. We can't wait to welcome her into the world. And I'm going to tell you, you can trust that at least the kids in my household are going to grow up to be sane. They are not going to have some public school teacher filling their head full of lies. The Hendry children are going to come out, and they're going to be people that you can look towards if you ever feel like the world's going crazy. These kids are going to be beacons of light in an otherwise dark world.
Well, Craig, it's not just you. They're also targeting homesteaders big time since the last election.
That's going to be me when I go to Argentina.
They're going after the Amish. They're trying to shut down their dairy farms. Oh my God, it's raw milk. While Gates is trying to inject us with stuff that's killing us and coating our apples with this appeal stuff that's toxic. And the government signs off on it. They just sign off on it. The government signs off it because of money. But it's killing you and your families. It's killing you guys.
And by the way,
wake up, America. Wake up.
The Amish milk, there are very many medical doctors that will tell you you're much better off drinking milk from an Amish farm that has antibodies in it, that doesn't have a whole bunch of hormones like atrazine, that has literally turned female frogs, fully developed female frogs they've turned fully developed male frogs into fully developed female frogs that can have children as females. These drugs are dangerous. And so that's what you're teaching your kids when you give them all this prairie farm stuff, all this nonsense. This stuff is dangerous. And the government doesn't want it because, look, ultimately, anybody who buys milk from an Amish farm, I'm pretty sure the Amish are required to tell them that, hey, this is raw milk, right? They're legally required to. So anybody who's buying it knows what they're getting. They know the risks they're putting themselves up against. They don't care. They'd rather buy it. Who is the government to tell a consenting adult that they can't buy an item? It's insane.
Well, hold on, Craig. My understanding is that based on the physical evidence that no one has made a complaint of food poisoning or any kind of fatalities from any of these farms where they sell Amish milk ever.
That sounds way too dangerous to me, Michael, and we're going to have to outlaw it.
I might be accused of misinformation because I said the instead of it, and they'll say, well, this article says it instead of the, and therefore the article is false. And that's what Zuck and all of his buddies are doing. They're just, they're just paying off their political allies. And now we know also from what happened at Epstein Island, the FBI lost all the video. So they got all kinds of blackmail evidence that they can use, these administrative agents that run these agencies. Now, one thing I do want to sort of distance myself a little bit is that I am a believer in government. I believe that we do need government. I just believe in limited government. I'm an anti-federalist. I believe that we need to have the less central the control over your life, the more that the men in the family can dominate and do what's best for their children and their wives and protect them. It's not government's job to be daddy. It's government's job to stay the F out of our business unless we need their help from a perspective of regulating a contract dispute or an interstate commerce problem or defending our shores from our enemy. And that's it. That's the way I feel about it. I don't think we need this gigantic federal government, all these people kissing the butt of the feds. These people don't care about you. I've been to Congress several times lobbying on behalf of rape victims who got raped by cruise ships. And these cruise ship companies just pay these congressmen off. I mean, even my own congressman, he'll just cut a deal with the guy down the hall. Hey, I'll make sure the cruise ship company gives you a bunch of money if you vote against the bill, but I got to vote for it, because I got a rape victim in my district. I just want you people to know what's really going on. Don't believe anything these people say. They're all a bunch of liars. How do you get into a job where you're making like 50 grand a year at Home Depot and somehow you get elected or as a bartender and then you're worth 20, 30 million afterwards? And then they say they're not engaged in insider trading. Are you freaking kidding me? That's all a lie. It's all BS. So if you guys have anything else to say, let me know. Everybody also understands something. I'm having a hard time going over an hour. My wife's not liking it. I don't make money for this. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it because I love my country. And I'm very concerned that one of my friends, Chili DeCastro, just got locked up. I'm not really concerned about his past or things that he's done in the past. I believe that everyone's entitled to forgiveness. I believe that you don't punish the children of people who may have sinned in the past. That's why I don't believe in critical race theory. It's all just BS. It's just a way to discriminate against white people and create a race war. It doesn't do anything to help society. I believe that everyone's entitled to forgiveness and everybody has an opportunity in this world to move forward. And if we try to punish people for the mistakes of their past all the time, that means you don't believe in forgiveness. So that tells me right away you're part of the problem, because everyone's entitled to forgiveness. We all do stupid things. Now, if you do something egregious, obviously some guy like me or Craig, to our kids, we're probably going to take your life, but God can forgive you, once he meets you at heaven's gates or hell's gates, wherever it might be. So that being said, guys, say what you got to say, and I'm going to close this out.
Yep. I need about maybe a minute and a half or so.
Do it.
Just to let you guys know, I also have my channel, BZWatchdog. I've been tying up Mike's channel a lot. I need to get some more watch hours over there. If you guys don't mind just rolling through, letting it play till the end. Let me get some watch hours over there. I have some things in mind for some merchant stuff that probably Chili would approve on. I've got some things for the auditors and the auditing community. Some ideas for shirts and stuff that we can maybe help fund some of the proceeds to some of the auditors that need bail, legal fees, or help with some equipment or whatever we need to keep people going. As you see, we keep getting locked up left and right. We need to keep these guys free. If they keep silencing us like they're doing with Chili and Craig Hendry and Denver Metro audits and Grandma and Texas Sheepdog. And I mean, Operation Accountability has been launched, guys. We are in full effect. With Michael, like he said, he's not getting paid to be here. He's doing this because he loves his country. But if we can help him out, anytime you guys have any questions regarding any attorney questions, feel free to do a super chat, whether it be $1 or $20 or whatever the amounts are. It just helps him answer a question and be able to pull in, just $1 or $2 or 50 cents or whatever it pays him, just to keep the wife. I don't want to call her the monkey on his back, but if you're married, happy wife, happy life. And right now, wives, I'm sure Hendry can attest, being locked up, she probably wasn't happy while he was gone. So with that being said, guys, I have nothing else to say. Stay tuned. We do have a local Texas auditor we're going to be featuring tomorrow, who also got locked up, and I took her out on an audit with me afterwards. And, that audit, she didn't even do anything, and she still had somebody attack her and had a second person giving us the double bird as I walked out the door. That video is on my channel. This Texas gal audit, she'll be featured tomorrow. Up and coming auditor. I think she'll do really well. With that being said, let's OTVO. You got anything, sir?
I'll keep it real short. It's just crazy that the police officers don't even know the laws that they're paid to enforce. They expect us to know them, but they don't know them themselves.
Well, they went to public school, dude. What do you expect?
Well, exactly my point.
Wait, did they even graduate?
I doubt it in some cases. I think that they get this high on telling people what to do. And when they run into somebody that actually says, no, 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 you can't do that, they try to figure out any way that they can legally, is at least in their head, to wrap you up. And if they can do that to you, they'll do that to me. They'll do that to anybody who's watching this channel. It's just them foolish trolls out there that seem that they want to back the people that are screwing them until they realize that they're just in the same barrel as we are. And when they get screwed, oh, then there'll be all kinds of outcry from them. But there's no outcry now. So it's a pleasure to be working with you gentlemen today and to be on the panel and to actually fight the right fight.
Well, okay. Awesome. Now, everybody, here's what I want. So I spent, I don't know, like 12 or 14 days. A lot of those days spent with BZWatchdog. Make sure to subscribe to BZ's channel. Make sure to subscribe to Craig's channel. But more than anything, remember, Chili is the reason that I'm here. You know, I was in the process of getting him on the law study program, trying to mentor him, trying to teach him, you know, the rules of civility and all the things that you need in order to be a good lawyer. And he got locked up, and, you know, people are saying, oh, you never did live streams. Oh, you just did this because you want to make money. And I'm like, dude, do you realize how much money I can make off just one big car accident? Like, it would be more than I could make off YouTube in like 5 years. I'm doing this because I actually care about people. I want my son and my daughter to remember that their father was a freedom fighter. And I want all of you officers, your police officers, your military people who know the law, because you know what I'm saying is true. All of you guys know what I'm saying is true. All of you have had a crummy supervisor, a slave to the state, whatever. I want you guys to start getting brave and standing up for your rights, and reach out to me if you have a problem. If you're a whistleblower, I'm the guy to contact, because I'm going to blow the lid off of things. And so I think that's pretty much it. I just want to go through the comments really quick, guys, because I don't want to be a jerk. And I know that, you know, BZ is pushing for the super chats because he's trying to like help me out, because, you know, my wife is screaming at me for going over an hour. But I'm going to just look at these chats anyways, because I care about you guys. And if you have a problem or whatever, I'm going to try to help you. So let me just really quick look at them. Just really fast.
Michael, there's a comment here that I'm reading that I can read to you. It was quite a few minutes ago.
Make it happen.
Michael, any comment on how unconstitutional Meade County, Kentucky is, especially when it's in Senator Rand Paul's backyard?
Ooh,
I don't know if you know what's happened in Meade County.
No.
I'm going to get you some information,
okay,
and hopefully then you can answer that question on a later day. But I just wanted to get that. That's from Qualified Immunity, and we'll fill you in after the stream on that.
Well, Craig, if possible, because I mean, look, I do all this by myself, because every time I try to hire someone, that usually from a college student who thinks I have to give them a secretary and $100,000 a year, and they don't even know how to type. And they said I'm trying to exploit them because I gave them a job. So now I just do everything myself, because government run education has basically convinced a whole generation of kids that communism is the way to go and that your employer is your enemy. So if you can help me create videos or anything like that to help me educate my audience, I'd love to do things in tandem with you, just the same way that I'm trying to help BZWatchdog. You know, like, I'm not doing this for glory, guys. I have health problems. I'm a disabled Marine. I don't know how much longer I have to live, but I want to leave a legacy behind that my wife and kids remember, especially my wife and kids. I really want them to know that their father and their husband was a freedom fighter. So if anybody can offer me help, if anybody can help me with the free Chili De Castro theme song, I'm trying to, without getting sued, create bumper music that's like free Chili De Castro,
Totally.
right? But without getting sued, because, you know, if you change the music a little bit, you don't get sued. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then, like, I'll even sing it. But if you've got your wives, or they have some girlfriends, you know, because girl voices sound way better, because that's how the song is. It's a bunch of girls.
Totally.
I really want to do the free Chili De Castro video. I'd like to start. We're not going to do Chili De Castro videos every day. You're not going to see images of the judge every day, but we are going to update you about Chili. And then one last thing I want to tell you is I haven't seen Chili in a while. And the reason is because, based upon my understanding, the Nevada jails will not allow out-of-state attorneys in-person visits. And so last time I had to do a video conference at the jail with him, and I have other business that I need to attend to with him. And I don't trust any open or closed circuit camera or video system that they're going to grant me.
Quite rightly.
I'm assuming they're surveilling every conversation. You guys got me?
Yes.
Okay. So because I just want like his family members and other people to know that I'm not ignoring him. I just think that I'm probably more of a threat to him, and I'm exposing my law license. And we saw what happened to Chief Eddie Gallagher, right? You saw that the JAG officer prosecutors who were going after this highly decorated Navy SEAL combat corpsman who served as a fleet Marine, which makes him a brother to me and BZWatchdog. They literally sent a virus to his computer so they could surveil his private calls between him and his lawyers. So I want you people to know that, yes, government is necessary, but it's a necessary evil. And because of that, you need to be very vigilant about what you have to say. So I'm going to close this out, guys. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because you never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. You know they're going to take it down because they don't like guys like me. They don't like guys who have so much common sense that the ladies and the men all are in unison in what I have to say. So that being said, Semper Fidelis, do or die. God bless America.